Hey, what is up you guys? My name is Kaitlyn and welcome to my channel. This video is going to be all about how I found out that I was 16 and pregnant. I will say I didn't really have any typical pregnancy, like early pregnancy symptoms. I will say the only one that I can look back and say that I for sure had was I was super tired all the time. Like, I almost couldn't make myself get out of bed in the mornings. I was just so exhausted. And I will just say I kind of just chalked all of that up to being that I was tired because I was working like 35 to 40 hours a week at a job, super irregular shifts, so my body didn't really have time to fall onto a schedule. So I figured that was probably just why I was tired. Obviously not. But yeah. My little brother did have a stomach bug going on, so him and my parents were at the hospital at the time. And so all my other siblings were with my grandparents just because there were a bunch of us, and so everyone had to make sure everyone was getting to work and getting to school and everything on time, and it was just what worked best. So it was just me and Nick at the house. So I remember the night before I took my pregnancy test, I was checking to see like when my period was supposed to show up because I did have work the next day and I wanted to make sure that I had supplies with me just in case I was at work and started my period, because I didn't feel like I was going to start. And I don't know if that makes sense, but usually like you get kind of a feeling before you start your period. Like you usually have some cramping or something going on, and I didn't have any of that. Like none of my normal like PMSing. Like I usually get super, like my anxiety flares up usually right before I start my period, and that wasn't happening. And so I was kind of like, maybe I'm off. I had just gotten off birth control and it had kind of thrown off my cycle for a bit, so I was trying to just like, you know, maybe that has something to do with it. But I checked and it actually said that I was 2 days late, which kind of raised some red flags. But again, I was like, you know, it must just be because I'm kind of irregular coming off birth control. You know, I wasn't worried because we hadn't had unprotected sex that month. So I was just like, there's no way I'm pregnant. Like, I wasn't super worried about it. And I mentioned it to Nick just because we communicate these type of things, and I was just like, hey, so this happened, and he kind of like, he urged me to take a pregnancy test because we did just have one at the house. So he was like, go ahead and take it. If it's negative, you know, it'll just give us peace of mind. Just go ahead and take it in the morning when you wake up. And so I was like, yeah, that makes sense, you know, it's gonna come back negative, so I don't need to stress about it. So that next morning, I woke up and Nick continued to sleep. That's usually what would happen when I went to work because I had a super early shift. And I just let him sleep the day through, and he usually woke up when I came home. My shift that day was like 5 to like, I'm pretty sure it was like 5 to 11. And so I just told him like, hey, just go ahead and sleep it off. Like, I'll wake you up when I get home. And so I grab the test and I go to the bathroom and I take it, and I was so convinced that it was going to be negative that I just like kind of stuck it in my pocket and went about like my morning routine. Like I ate breakfast and I drank a cup of coffee and came back to my room to change clothes to get ready to leave. And I took the test out of my pocket and laid it on the dresser, and that's when I saw that it said that I was pregnant. And it was one of the digital ones, so it was clear as day. Like, it wasn't just my eyes playing tricks on me. There was no mistaking that said yes and that I was pregnant. I remember just kind of laughing it off, and I was like, nope. I went straight into denial, and I was like, that's not true. It's been in my desk. It's just in the package. You know, the weather's messing with it. Whatever. I'm not pregnant. Nope, not me. So I kind of laugh it off, and I pick it up, and I just kind of throw it at Nick, and he's sitting at the bed, and I was like, Nick, wake up. And he wakes up, and he's super confused, and he looks at it, and kind of does the same thing that I did, where he just kind of was like, that's not accurate. Don't worry about it. And he was like, when you get home from work, we'll walk to CVS, and we'll get a new one, and, you know, don't stress about it, because it's probably not right. And I just kind of brushed it off, and I went to work. it was about 3 hours into my shift that morning that I kind of was like, oh my god, I'm pregnant. And I just kind of remember I was like, oh god, what am I gonna do? Like, there was no actual, like, fear. It was just anxiety. Like, it was just like, oh god, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna, just stressing myself out. And so I go back into the back part of my, like, the break part of my job, and I look at my phone, and luckily my mom was telling me that, you know, some bad news about my brother, just like they didn't know what was going on, testing had come back, and they were just super confused. And kind of the icing on top of the cake, I just kind of broke down, and I was like, I can't do this, I need help, I can't do this. And so I tell my manager, like, hey, my brother's not doing good, like, I need to go home. And she was like, yeah, of course. Everyone, like, my manager was aware, like, what was going on, like, with my family, so she wasn't super concerned about it. And I called my cousin to come pick me up and take me home. And lo and behold, my luck would turn on me like this, that as she was driving me home, in my brain, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna wake Nick up, we're gonna go to the store, I'm gonna take a test, it's gonna be negative, and I'll be okay, and I can rest assured, and I can just calm myself down. And as we're turning the corner onto my street, I see that my parents are home with all of my siblings, and I was just like, I don't have the mental capacity to deal with any of this right now. Like, I was not in the headspace to tell anybody what was going on. So I come inside and I wake up Nick, and I'm just like, hey, we need to go, like, I need to have, like, clarity, I need to know for sure if I am or not. And so he gets up, and my cousin actually insisted on driving us to CVS, and just because it was super hot, and she wanted, like, she was like, oh, why would you turn down a ride at all? And how was I supposed to say, oh no, I want to walk alone because I don't want anyone to see the pregnancy test that I'm buying? So I had to, like, just bite my tongue, and he drove us to the CVS right around the corner, and we go in, and I tell him, like, hey, don't worry about driving us back, we want to walk. And so he was like, okay, like, cool. And I go in, and I was just super embarrassed. Like, I look very young, I have a baby face, and I was like, everyone knows that I am not old enough to be buying a pregnancy test. And we buy one, and the lady was super nice, and she just told us that we could use her bathroom. So we walk on back, and Nick waits out in the hallway, and I go in, and I take the test. And to anyone who has ever taken a pregnancy test, you know what I mean when I say that you can see the test strip, like, get wet after you pee on it. And no joke, as soon as, like, the test strip got wet over the test line, it was bright positive. And I just remember, like, looking at it, and I was like, okay, well, what can you do? And I go out, and I tell Nick, and we kind of had a moment in CPS where we just kind of hugged, and he reassured me that everything was going to be okay. And we just decided that we were going to have to be positive about it, no matter what. Like, this was our life, and it was going to be okay, and we were going to figure it out, and yeah. But yeah, you guys, that is the story of how I found out that I was 16 and pregnant. I am going to continue this story. I want to make multiple different videos about how I told my parents, how he told his parents, just everything, kind of break it up. But yeah. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to leave all my social medias down in the description bar just so everyone can check them out. I am going to insert a picture of my belly and my bump because I am 19 weeks yesterday. So I'm kind of almost halfway through. I know I'm starting a little bit late, but better late than never, I guess. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you next time.